Dementia doesn't just appear overnight. It develops in silence, often 10 to 20 years before a diagnosis. And the worst part? By the time most people recognize the symptoms, it's too late to reverse the damage. Right now, 55 million people worldwide are living with dementia, and that number is expected to triple by 2050. But here's the terrifying truth. Nearly half of all dementia cases go undiagnosed until they've already caused severe brain damage. Why? Because the earliest warning signs aren't always about memory loss. Instead, dementia starts with subtle, unexpected changes. These changes often appear 10 years before full-blown cognitive decline, yet most people brush them off as normal aging. And that's exactly why dementia is so deadly. Alzheimer's alone is now the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S., killing over 120,000 people every year. And once the disease progresses, 93% of patients won't survive beyond 5 years. But here's what the mainstream medical system won't tell you. You don't have to wait until it's too late. Because if you catch these red flags early, you can take action to slow, stop, or even prevent dementia before it destroys your brain. Stay tuned until the end, because we're not just revealing the 12 early warning signs. You'll also learn exactly why these signs happen, how to stop dementia before it takes over your brain, and what you should do right now if you recognize any of these symptoms. The difference between catching dementia early and waiting too long could mean the difference between living a full, independent life or slowly losing yourself to a disease with no cure. Are you ready? Number 12, losing sense of smell. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your coffee has no aroma, or that your favorite perfume, the comforting smell of home-cooked food, all seem to fade away. It's not just a random quirk. It could be one of the earliest signs of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. A groundbreaking 2017 study from the University of Chicago tested nearly 3,000 older adults and found that those who failed a simple smell test were 5 times more likely to develop dementia within the next 5 years. This is because the olfactory bulb, the part of your brain responsible for processing smell, is one of the first regions to deteriorate in dementia. And this isn't just a theory. Brain scans confirm that shrinking in this area can be detected long before memory loss even begins. So if you notice that food, flowers, or daily scents seem weaker or even disappear altogether, it's time to pay attention. Number 11, constantly feeling cold. Do you feel like you're freezing even when everyone else is comfortable? If you're always piling on extra layers or struggling with icy hands and feet, it could be a sign of poor blood flow to the brain, a major risk factor for dementia. A 2021 study in neurology found that people who frequently feel cold, despite normal room temperatures, are more likely to develop neurodegenerative diseases. Here is why. The brain needs a constant supply of warm, oxygen-rich blood to function properly. When circulation weakens, brain cells begin to starve, leading to cognitive impairment years before dementia is diagnosed. This symptom is often mistaken for thyroid issues, anemia, or just getting older. But if it's a persistent issue, it could be a red flag for something much more serious. Number 10, unexplained weight loss. Have you been losing weight without trying? While many people assume this is a sign of good health, sudden, unintentional weight loss, especially in older adults, could signal dementia in its earliest stages. A 2020 study from the University of Cambridge tracked older adults for 10 years and found that those who lost weight unexpectedly were twice as likely to develop dementia compared to those who maintained a stable weight. But why is that? The answer lies in the brain's metabolism. The brain uses about 20% of the body's total energy, but when neurodegeneration begins, it disrupts energy regulation, leading to muscle wasting and unexplained weight loss. So, if you notice significant weight changes without diet or exercise adjustments, it's worth investigating further. Number 9, frequent balance issues. Do you feel lightheaded when standing up? Are you stumbling more often or feeling unsteady on your feet? Frequent dizziness and balance problems are strong predictors of future cognitive decline. A 2019 study published in Stroke found that individuals who experience frequent dizzy spells due to blood pressure fluctuations had a 40% higher risk of developing dementia over the next decade. The reason? Sudden drops in blood pressure starve the brain of oxygen, damaging neurons over time. This is why many dementia patients develop gait instability and an increased risk of falls, even before memory loss begins. If you often feel lightheaded or prone to losing balance, don't brush it off. It could be a neurological warning sign. Number 8. Loss of interest in reading or puzzles. A 2018 study in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease followed thousands of participants and found that those who gradually lost interest in mentally stimulating activities had a 33% higher risk of developing dementia within 6 years. This is because the brain thrives on challenge and engagement. When neurons start deteriorating, tasks that once felt rewarding become overwhelming, frustrating, or mentally draining. And it's not just about losing interest. Sometimes a person starts struggling with tasks they once mastered. Maybe you get lost in a book because you can't follow the storyline, or you struggle to focus on puzzles that used to be easy. This isn't just normal aging. It's your brain quietly losing the ability to process information and hold focus. Number 7. Changes in food preferences. Have you suddenly developed a craving for sweets? Or maybe foods you used to love now taste different? A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that people who start craving excessive sugar or lose interest in complex flavors often experience early-stage degeneration in the brain's taste perception centers. This means that the brain is losing its ability to process flavors correctly. And it's not just about cravings. Some dementia patients unknowingly begin eating spoiled food because their brains fail to recognize when something tastes off. Others start adding excessive seasoning to their meals without realizing their taste perception has weakened. This is why sudden dietary changes, especially strong sugar cravings, are a serious red flag. Number 6. Trouble recognizing faces. You glance at an old friend and suddenly can't remember their name or where you met. While this can happen to anyone occasionally, frequent episodes of face blindness, also known as prosopagnosia, are an early sign of Alzheimer's. A 2023 study from Harvard Medical School found that difficulty recognizing familiar faces can appear up to 10 years before an official diagnosis. That's because the fusiform gyrus, a brain region responsible for facial recognition, begins to deteriorate long before memory loss sets in. This is different from forgetting a name. It's about struggling to place familiar faces, even when you've known them for years. Number 5. Declining handwriting. Have you noticed that your handwriting is getting smaller, more cramped, or harder to read? While most people associate shaky handwriting with Parkinson's, it can also be an early sign of dementia. A 2021 study in the Journal of Geriatrics and Gerontology analyzed handwriting samples from aging adults and found that people with declining cognitive function showed noticeable changes in their writing a decade before diagnosis. This includes irregular letter sizes, reduced spacing between words, and tremors in letter formation. That's because dementia affects fine motor control and coordination, all of which are crucial for fluid handwriting. Number 4. Vivid dreams and frequent nightmares. A 2022 study from the University of Birmingham found that middle-aged adults who frequently experienced nightmares were twice as likely to develop cognitive decline in later life. For older adults, the risk was even greater. Those with frequent bad dreams were 5 times more likely to develop dementia over the next 5 years. The connection? The brain regions responsible for regulating dreams overlap with areas that deteriorate in dementia. When these regions start malfunctioning, dreams become more intense, disturbing, and frequent. Dementia doesn't strike suddenly. It develops in silence, creeping into the brain years, sometimes decades, before full-blown symptoms appear. The scariest part? By the time most people realize something is wrong, the brain has already suffered irreversible damage. But why does this happen? What's actually causing these early signs of dementia? The answer lies in how dementia destroys the brain from the inside out. At its core, dementia is a neurodegenerative process, meaning it slowly kills brain cells and weakens the connections between them. This happens for three key reasons. Toxic protein buildup. One of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's and other dementias is the accumulation of harmful proteins like beta-amyloid and tau. These proteins clog up the brain's pathways, blocking neuron communication and leading to brain shrinkage. This is why people with dementia often struggle with memory, perception, and movement, because the affected areas of the brain are literally dying. 2. Oxygen and blood flow decline. Your brain depends on a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients to function. But as we age, circulation weakens, and tiny blood vessels in the brain begin to shut down. Without proper blood supply, neurons starve and die off, especially in regions responsible for memory, problem-solving, and sensory processing. 3. Inflammation and immune system breakdown. In a healthy brain, the immune system works like a cleanup crew, removing waste and repairing damage. But in dementia, this system goes haywire, leading to chronic brain inflammation that speeds up neuron destruction. This inflammation is why dementia patients experience personality changes, mood swings, and increased confusion. So when you experience subtle early symptoms, like a weaker sense of smell, dizziness, or personality shifts, these are not random signs of aging. They are your brain's distress signals, warning you that something is going terribly wrong. But here's the part many don't realize. Up to 40% of dementia cases could be prevented. Your brain isn't doomed to decline. It can be strengthened, protected, and even repaired. The key is to recognize these warning signs early and make targeted changes before it's too late. 1. Prioritize sleep. A 2021 study in JAMA Neurology found that adults who get less than 6 hours of sleep per night have a 30% higher risk of dementia. That's because deep sleep is when your brain flushes out toxic waste proteins, like beta-amyloid, one of the key drivers of Alzheimer's. Skip sleep, and these proteins build up, choking neurons and accelerating brain shrinkage. Make sure you get at least 7 hours of sleep every night. 2. Improve blood flow to the brain. Your brain is a high-performance machine that runs on oxygen and nutrients. If circulation weakens, brain cells suffocate and die. A Harvard study found that a Mediterranean diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids can lower dementia risk by 40%. These essential fats support neuron communication, reduce brain inflammation, and keep blood vessels clear, ensuring your brain stays nourished and sharp. Start adding more omega-3 rich foods like salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds to your meals today. Your brain depends on it. 3. Stay mentally engaged. Your brain is like a muscle. Use it or lose it. The Rush Memory and Aging Project found that people who actively engage in lifelong learning, puzzles, and reading delay dementia symptoms by an average of 5 years. Why is that? Because mental stimulation builds cognitive reserves, creating stronger neural connections that can help compensate for early brain damage. But here's the crucial part. Prevention only works if you catch the warning signs early. The sooner you act, the more control you have over your brain's future. Now, let's get into the top 3 warning signs that appear many years before dementia is diagnosed. Signs that most people completely overlook. Number 3, social withdrawal. Have you or someone you know suddenly stopped joining family gatherings or started avoiding social interactions? Apathy is one of the most overlooked early warning signs of dementia. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry found that people who showed increasing social withdrawal and lack of interest in hobbies had a dementia risk 2.3 times higher than their peers. This happens because dementia damages the frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for motivation, emotional processing, and decision-making. As a result, people become less interested in socializing, stop engaging in conversations, and may seem indifferent even to loved ones. Number 2, losing track of time. Do you frequently forget the day of the week, the month, or even the year? While it's normal to lose track of time occasionally, frequent confusion about dates and sequences is a red flag. A 2020 study in Alzheimer's and Dementia, the Journal of the Alzheimer's Association, found that early-stage dementia patients often struggle with temporal awareness, meaning they lose their ability to keep track of past, present, and future events. This doesn't just mean forgetting an appointment. It includes getting confused about whether something happened yesterday or last year, missing events entirely, or even losing sense of time while doing everyday tasks. Number 1, vision problems. This is one of the most shocking and least known early warning signs of dementia. People assume vision problems mean an issue with the eyes, but in reality, the brain processes what you see, so cognitive decline can distort vision years before memory loss. A 2018 study from the American Academy of Neurology found that individuals who had trouble perceiving depth, struggled with contrast, or frequently misjudged distances were at higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. This includes difficulty following moving objects, like losing track of a ball during a game, misjudging distances like reaching for a glass and missing it, seeing objects that aren't there, like shadows appearing as figures. If someone frequently trips over things, has trouble recognizing familiar landmarks, or complains about blurry vision despite having healthy eyes, the problem might not be their eyesight. It could be their brain. Dementia isn't just memory loss. It is a progressive, unstoppable breakdown of the brain, one that eventually strips a person of their ability to think, move, speak, and even swallow. And yet, here's the most shocking part. Nearly half of all dementia cases go undiagnosed until the disease has already caused severe brain damage. By the time a doctor officially confirms what's happening, it's often too late to reverse the damage. Late-stage dementia is devastating. Patients forget their own families. They lose the ability to communicate. They require 24/7 care just to survive. Eventually, the brain's control over essential functions like breathing and digestion begins to fail, leading to death. Here's a sobering truth. By the time dementia reaches its later stages, 93% of patients won't survive beyond 5 years. A 2022 report from the Alzheimer's Association found that by the time dementia patients enter nursing homes, their average remaining lifespan is only 3.8 years. But here's the part most people don't realize. Dementia develops over decades, with subtle signs appearing 10, even 20 years before an official diagnosis. That means the time to act is long before memory loss begins. The difference between early action and waiting too long could mean the difference between living a full, independent life or facing an irreversible decline. This is why catching these warning signs early is everything. If dementia is already developing right now, the worst thing you can do is ignore the signals. Once the damage spreads too far, there's no way to undo it. The question is, will you act now while you still have time? If you've noticed any of these symptoms, especially more than one, don't wait. Here's what to do next. 1. Get a cognitive evaluation. A neurologist can perform brain scans, memory tests, and early detection screenings. 2. Request a blood test. New research suggests that biomarkers in the blood can detect Alzheimer's up to 20 years before symptoms appear. 3. Track your symptoms. Keep a journal of changes in memory, mood, balance, and sensory perception. Patterns over time can provide valuable clues. 4. Act on reversible signs. Some early symptoms, like sleep disturbances and social withdrawal, may improve with targeted interventions. Sleep optimization and social engagement have all been linked to better cognitive resilience. Most importantly, don't ignore the warning signs. Millions of people assume these symptoms are just a normal part of aging, until it's too late to do anything about it. The sooner you recognize the changes, the better your chances of keeping dementia at bay.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.